We've got our first server action put together. And now, like I said, I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive here and understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes. First, I want to give you a little bit of background, and I want to review how a traditional React application works. So in the usual way that we use React, we've got a bunch of JavaScript code that is all running inside the browser. And whenever we need to change data, create records, or whatever else, typically we make an HTTP request to an outside API server. And usually we make these requests using functions like, say, fetch or the Axios library or something similar to that. So this is how we used to write JavaScript and React in particular. But now that we are working with Next, the world is way, way different. When we start to make use of Next, we are working in a single project, but some of our code is going to be sent down to the browser and executed there, and some of our code is going to stay on the server and execute there. And in many cases, it can be really challenging for us to understand where our code is actually running. An example of this is the server action we just put together. We put together this function, and it kind of looks at first glance, coming from the world of classic or traditional React, you might think that this function gets sent down to the user's browser and is executed there. But that's not actually what happens. Instead, this server action is being executed on the server. So it's staying on the server, it only gets executed on the server. So here's what's kind of happening whenever we submit a form. We enter in some title and some code and click on that Save button. Some JavaScript that's running inside the browser is then going to automatically collect the values from that form and assemble them together into a little packet of data that gets sent off in a post request to our Next server. Our Next server is then going to receive that form data and automatically pass it on to our server action. So our server action, again, is running on the server. That's why it's called a server action. So we can almost imagine behind the scenes, Next is creating this little miniature route handler for us that's going to be called whenever a user submits that form. When our server action runs, we then create a new snippet and we redirect the user. And when we call that redirect function, the Next server is actually automatically sending a response back to our application, telling the app to go back over and navigate to the home page. So that's just a little taste of what's happening behind the scenes. I just want you to keep in mind that when we are working on a Next application, again, some of our code is running on the browser and some is running on the server. And at some points in time, it's going to become really important for us to understand where our code is actually running.